Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something really mind-bending.
Oh, yeah.
It mixes the deep ocean's mystery with, well, our fascination with time. We're talking about the Abyssal Zone Timegates theory.
Right, the idea that the deepest parts of the ocean might hide more than just strange fish.
Exactly. Think about the conditions down there: crushing pressure, total darkness, freezing cold, life that looks truly alien.
It's an extreme environment, no doubt.
And then this theory suggests maybe there are portals hidden down there. Portals to other times.
Caused by nature, or maybe something else. Ancient tech, perhaps.
Yeah, we've got some interesting material on this. So our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack it all, look at the concepts, but also see how they stack up against the science we do know.
Sounds good. It's a classic case of the unknown sparking imagination, isn't it? The Abyssal Zone is one of those last frontiers on Earth. So when you have gaps in knowledge, theories like this, well, they tend to pop up. The idea is that certain spots down there aren't just ecosystems, they're places where time behaves differently. Gateways.
Okay, let's set the scene a bit more. The Abyssal Zone itself, just how extreme are we talking?
We're talking pressure that's almost unbelievable. Hundreds of times atmospheric pressure, like having several tons resting on every square inch. Anything not built for it, basically, gets crushed instantly. Plus, it's near freezing and absolutely pitch black. Sunlight never reaches those depths.
Which forces life to adapt in some pretty wild ways.
Wild is an understatement.
Bizarre?
Unique, luminescence is common, strange body shapes. Things evolve to survive under immense constraints. It's a place that still throws up scientific surprises.
And we've barely seen any of it, right? It's vast down there.
Oh, minuscule. We've explored maybe a tiny percentage of the total abyssal seafloor. It's this huge, three-dimensional world, largely unknown.
So yeah, that leaves a lot of room for, well, wondering.
Exactly. That lack of complete data is fertile ground for speculation. What else could be hidden? And you've got dynamic features too. Hydrothermal vents, weird geological structures we're still figuring out.
Okay, so it's mysterious, it's extreme, perfect backdrop for a timegate theory. Let's get into the core claims. What exactly are proponents suggesting?
The main idea is temporal anomalies. Specific points in the abyss where the normal flow of time is disrupted.
Disrupted how?
Yeah.
Like faster, slower?
Could be faster, slower, maybe even loops or jumps. The theories vary, and why it's happening also splits into a couple of main camps.
Okay, what are they?
One camp points to ancient technology, left behind by some lost, highly advanced civilization whose cities are now submerged. Their tech, maybe still humming away, is causing these time effects.
Lost civilizations, time machines at the bottom of the sea. That's got a real adventure story feel to it.
Absolutely does. Captures the imagination. The other idea is more naturalistic, meaning it suggests maybe unique geology combined with the intense pressure or maybe some unknown physics down there could naturally create these kinds of temporal portals or distortions.
Interesting. So natural rifts in time.
Potentially.
Yeah.
And woven into both of these often is the idea of secrecy.
Ah, the cover-up.
Right. That governments or some shadowy group knows about these time gates and is keeping it under wraps.
Standard conspiracy element. Okay, so if they believe this, what are they pointing to as, proof? I assume it's not video footage of a T-Rex swimming past a submersible.
No, nothing quite that clear-cut. The evidence is mostly indirect and definitely open to interpretation. A big one is sonar anomalies.
Strange pings.
Yeah, sonar readings that don't match known natural formations or wrecks. Things that look structured, maybe artificial, or just weird. Phenomena that current science struggles to explain easily down there.
And the interpretation is, that's the time gate.
What?
Or Lost City.
Could be either, depending on the specific claim. Maybe the structure itself, maybe the energy signature of a portal.
Yep.
Then you have anecdotal reports.
From who? Divers? Subcrews?
Exactly. People who've been down deep reporting strange experiences. Things like lost time, periods they can't account for, disorientation that seems excessive. Or just a strong feeling that time wasn't flowing normally.
But couldn't that just be the extreme environment? Nitrogen narcosis, stress, sensory deprivation.
That's the scientific counter-argument, absolutely. Those effects are very real. Proponents, though, would argue some accounts go beyond that. They might focus on specific details, like maybe instruments also behaving oddly at the same time, or the feeling being very localized to one specific spot.
Okay, what else? You mentioned structures.
Right, claims of actual submerged structures, things picked up on side-scan sonar perhaps, that look unnaturally geometric or organized and seem way too old to be from known human history.
So remnants of that lost civilization again.
That's the idea, maybe even part of the time-altering machinery itself, and then there's marine life.
How does that fit in?
Well, sometimes creatures are found that seem anachronistic, like living fossils, or species that seem out of sync with the evolutionary timeline you'd expect. The interpretation is maybe they got pulled through from another time period.
Accidentally stumbled through a time gate.
Something like that. And finally, you get unusual magnetic or gravitational readings in certain deep sea areas. These are sometimes linked, suggesting they might be related to the energy source or the space-time warping effect of a time gate.
So it's a collection of unexplained data points, anecdotes, weird readings, all woven together.
Precisely. It forms a narrative that tries to connect these disparate, often ambiguous pieces of information into a cohesive, if speculative, whole.
It's compelling, you have to admit. But how would this even work? What are the mechanics they propose for a time gate in the abyss? That seems like the biggest leap.
It absolutely is, and this is where things get highly theoretical, often borrowing from the fringes of physics. One idea involves gravity.
Gravity?
The thinking is that the immense pressure, maybe interacting with specific geological compositions or unknown energy fields, could somehow warp space-time significantly, create localized distortions.
Like a mini black hole effect, almost.
Sort of, but without the singularity. Just enough warping to affect time flow. Another proposal involves exotic energy sources.
Like what?
Things like zero-point energy, the theoretical energy of empty space, or maybe dark energy, the stuff accelerating the universe's expansion. The idea is these could be tapped either naturally or by ancient tech to power a time gate.
Stuff we barely understand even theoretically.
Exactly. And then there's the even more speculative idea of dimensional rifts, actual tiers or connections not just between times, but maybe even between different dimensions or parallel universes located deep underwater.
Wow. Okay, that's really pushing the envelope of known science.
Definitely. These mechanisms are purely hypothetical at this stage. There's no experimental evidence for any of this working in reality, let alone happening naturally in the deep sea.
And if, hypothetically, these gates were real, why the secrecy? What are the supposed motives for keeping quiet?
The motives. Well, they usually fall into a few categories. The biggest is probably temporal control.
Changing the past? Seeing the future?
Pretty much. Imagine the power if you could reliably do either. Governments or secret groups might want that power exclusively. Accessing future knowledge, altering historical events, huge implications.
Okay, that makes sense of the motive, however fictional. What else?
Resource exploitation. Maybe accessing resources, minerals, energy, even lost knowledge or tech from other time periods.
Mining the past or future, literally.
In a way, yes. Then there's the opposite concern. Preventing paradoxes.
Like the grandfather paradox. If you change the past, you might erase yourself.
Exactly. If time travel is messy and dangerous, maybe the secrecy is about monitoring the gates, making sure nobody screws up the timeline, intentionally or accidentally, containing the phenomenon.
A kind of control containment unit at the bottom of the ocean.
You could frame it like that. And finally, there's the simpler motive, maintaining the status quo, preventing panic, avoiding the societal upheaval that confirming time travel exists would inevitably cause, hiding it to maintain control.
Power, profit, paradox prevention, panic prevention. Got it. It definitely paints a picture. But let's bring it back to Earth, or rather the seabed. What does mainstream science say? What are the counterarguments?
Well, the scientific perspective is pretty straightforward on this. Firstly, we have solid explanations within known biology and geology for most of the weird stuff down there.
Like the strange creatures.
Exactly. Evolution under extreme pressure and darkness accounts for their adaptations, the unique geological formations, plate tectonics, volcanism, chemical processes. We understand the basics, even if details are still being researched. There's no need to invoke lost civilizations or time warps for what we currently observe.
Okay, so the simpler explanation is usually better.
Pretty much. Secondly, deep sea exploration is incredibly difficult. The environment plays havoc with equipment. Getting clear data is tough.
So those sonar anomalies could just be glitches or weird echoes.
Very possibly. Technical malfunctions, unusual water density layers causing reflections, echoes off complex terrain, even unknown natural phenomena that aren't time gates. Misinterpretation is easy when you're pushing the limits of technology in such a hostile place.
Makes sense.
And the biggest point really is the total lack of credible scientific evidence for time travel itself, in any form described by these theories. Never mind finding time gates in the abyss.
So no equations that predict this, no experiments showing it?
Not in a way that supports these specific claims. And the anecdotal reports of lost time or disorientation, far more likely explained by the known physiological and psychological impacts of deep-sea environments, narcosis, stress, isolation, sensory oddities. These can profoundly affect perception, including the perception of time.
Our brains just aren't designed for that environment.
Not at all. So while the abyss is mysterious and largely unexplored, jumping from "we don't know everything" to "therefore time gates" is a massive leap without supporting evidence. Speculation is fine, but it's not science until tested.
Okay, so wrapping this up then. The Abyssal Zone Timegates theory. It's this fascinating mix, isn't it? Real deep-sea mystery meets our kind of eternal fascination with time travel.
It really is. It hits those buttons of exploring the unknown and pondering fundamental questions about reality and time.
And even though the theory itself is, well, pretty firmly in the realm of science fiction right now, lacking scientific backing, it does highlight just how much of our own planet is still a mystery to us, especially the oceans.
Absolutely. It underscores the vastness of the unexplored deep sea and why we need to keep looking.
And it kind of leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Even if time gates aren't real, what other truly strange, maybe seemingly impossible things are waiting down there in the dark? What pushes the boundaries of what we think we know?
That's the enduring appeal, I think. It fuels curiosity. Even
Right.
if this specific theory is likely fantasy, the questions it raises about the limits of our knowledge and the potential wonders or horrors hidden in our own world are worth considering. It pushes us to keep exploring, keep questioning.
A great thought to end on. What else is linking? Thanks for diving deep on this one.
My pleasure. It's certainly a thought-provoking topic.